Number 1. So this happened a couple years ago when I was 13 and my brother was 11. My parents had to go out and they thought it would be better to leave me and my brother home alone. So that's what they did. They left, taking my little sister, age 6, with them. Me and my brother were all the way down in our basement, which is where we had our video game set up. So the two of us were just downstairs playing Mario Kart on our Wii. We had a home phone in between us, just in case one of our parents called. About an hour goes by and the phone starts to ring. We look down and the caller ID and it says it's our uncle. We decide to just let it ring. And how our phone worked, it would ring about 5 times, then stop. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3, the phone stops ringing. My brother doesn't pay attention to it, but I do. I realize that the only reason for it to stop that early if someone picked up and we were home alone. I get really suspicious and my paranoia gets the better of me, and I take my brother and we go upstairs, see that the phone is still there. But there is still a phone on the 3rd floor in my parents' room. So we go towards the stairs and what we saw chilled us to the bone. A man, late 40s, early 50s is all I can really tell you, because the second we saw him, me and my brother screamed, ran out of our front, and go straight to our neighbor's house. We tell them what happened, and they proceed to call the police, then our parents. They come fast, and I don't know what was wrong with the man, but he never left the house. He just stood there, and the police arrested him. From what I heard, he was placed in a mental hospital, but that's just what I heard. This story may not be totally crazy compared to the others, but I just think, what could have happened to me and my brother if my uncle didn't decide to call? Number 2. This happened to one of my coworkers a few years ago. Her mom runs a really successful business, so she's pretty well off. At that time, drove a really nice car. I'm not into cars, so I can't even remember the model or make, but the guys at work sometimes used to go outside to look at it, talk to her about it when she picked my coworker up. So I'm guessing it was expensive as fuck. Both my friend and her mom are only about 5 foot tall. They're really a short family. The night this happened, her stepdad wasn't there. She was woken up by a sound coming from downstairs. When she got up to check what it was, her mom was awake as well. When they got to the landing and switched on the lights, a man wearing a balaclava was standing halfway up the stairs, holding a huge knife. He said something like, "Tell me where your car keys are or I'm coming up there." She told him where they were, and the man called to someone downstairs to get them. He told them to stay put and keep their hands in the air. Once the other man got the keys, they left and one of them drove off in her car. When the police came, they said that the men had been doing this a lot to rich folks in the area, and that they were 3 of them in total working together. She was really shaken up by the incident and had to take some time off work. They got a security system installed and hard metal bars put on the downstairs window shortly after it happened. Number 3. 3 years ago, I was living with my then boyfriend. in a one-bedroom apartment in a little mountain town. It was a half-basement unit, so the bottom of all our windows were level with the ground outside. It was also an older apartment, and not all the windows could fully lock. One day, my boyfriend comes home from work while I'm laying on the sofa and immediately runs up to the window near me and looks out of it frantically. He then goes to look at every other window in the house, then walks around the outside looking in the windows. When he comes back from this confusing exploit, I ask him what the fuck is going on and why he's being a spaz. "I think I just walked up on a dude looking in the window at you. He took off as I walked up," he tells me. This was, naturally, very unsettling. But after discussing it and considering the time of day, it was about 2 p.m., and the number of people out and about around the complex at that time, we came to a conclusion that it was just a curious neighbor or someone passing by happening to glance in. And with that, we forgot about it. If only that was the end. For the next couple of months, odd stuff happened here and there. Someone would knock on the door occasionally. Then when I went to answer, no one was there. I'd find things in my apartment that I wasn't familiar with, or things like clothing items would vanish. I didn't really think twice about any of it until one night. My boyfriend and I were arguing around 1 or 2 in the morning, and we were being a little loud. We were standing in the kitchen, face to face. His back was to an open window with the blinds up halfway, and I was facing it. Amidst our arguing, I glanced behind him at the window, thinking I saw the reflection of my face in it. The window was open, and it wasn't my face. There was a man with his face pressed almost against the window screen watching us. Given the fact that we were arguing and it was late, I thought for a moment it might have been a concerned neighbor walking up to the window to speak to us, because the main walkway for the complex was right on the other side of the window. So I spoke to him. "Hello? Can I help you?" I asked a little aggressively, thinking a neighbor was intruding on our privacy. He responded to this by staring, unwavering and cold, right at me. His face did not change expression. He did not blink or move. Just looked right at me in a way that I have never been looked at before or since. In this instant, I also realized that because of the window being level with the ground, the only way this man's face could be there was if he was laying on the ground outside the apartment or crouched and contorted to look into the window. My heart sank, and I buried my face in my boyfriend's chest and closed my eyes in fear. My boyfriend, up to this point, thought I was messing with him. When I buried my face in his chest, only then did he say, "Is there really someone at the window?" I whispered yes to him. He felt my fear and took a moment before he turned around. By the time he did, the man was gone. It was at this point I started to think about all the little odd occurrences that I'd been experiencing, and I assumed the worst. I filed the police report with this description, and my brother loaded my apartment up with weapons to protect me, or at least inform this peeping Tom that I was armed. After that night, myself, my boyfriend, and my brother were on high alert. There were a couple times when my brother came over that he saw a sketchy dude hanging around, and even one time he saw him at my window. He tried to follow him discreetly, but the guy took off running as soon as my brother stepped in his direction. The last night I had an experience with this man. I was sitting home alone on my sofa, and my boyfriend was at work at a restaurant about 2 blocks away. He had picked me up from work an hour earlier. We had sat on the sofa together, and a little while we got home, Then he kissed me and left for work. He locked the door behind him, and after he left, I continued to sit on the couch on Reddit for a while in silence. After about an hour of me sitting there in silence, I heard a door creak open. It was a small apartment. To see the bedroom and the bathroom doors from the couch, all I had to do was lean a little to the left. I assumed it was one of my cats coming out of my bedroom, so you can imagine my shock when I leaned over and see the door that's opening is the door to the water heater closet or small storage space. I look to my right and see both my cats sleeping soundly at the other end of the couch. I look back at the door and still creaking open very, very slowly. It opens enough for me to see it. A set of fingers wrapped around the door, easing the door ever so gently to open it as quietly as possible. That was gonna be a no for me, dog. I ran my ass barefooted out the door, into the snow, and down the street to my boyfriend's work. I called the cops. When everyone was back to check out the apartment, he was, of course, gone. After that, my boyfriend and I packed our shit, went to stay with my parents, and 6 months later, moved 1,000 miles away from that town. And that was the end of it. I initially found this sub around the last time as I was trying to find other stories similar to mine, or people to talk to who had experienced something like I did. I had intended to write my story here eventually, and I figured after this week's events that I had to. I live 1,000 miles away from where all of this had happened, so a part of me thinks there is no way this person could have found me. But last week, I heard a knock on the front door of my apartment. I was expecting a package, so I figured it was a delivery driver and didn't answer. I'd go get the package later. Then they knocked again and again. The third one made me feel uneasy, so I waited a good 20 minutes to check the door. When I did, there was no package, no note, no nothing. Someone was just knocking. Although it made me uneasy, I didn't initially think back to my stressful experience in my last town. Then 2 days ago, I went out to get groceries. I have a little patio and I go out there in the mornings to just chill or check on plants a lot. And I've been known to leave it unlocked in the day on the accident. Never thought of it as a huge deal until I came home from the store 2 days ago and the deadbolt to my apartment was locked. The deadbolt can only be locked from the inside of the apartment, period. I assumed someone robbed me because I dumbly left my patio unlocked. I called my sister and I called my current boyfriend. And I waited for people to be with me, and I went into my apartment through the sliding glass patio door. Nothing was out of place. Nothing of value was taken. At this point, my heart sank. Nothing was touched, nothing stolen. Someone was inside my apartment just because they wanted to be inside of my apartment. I told my boyfriend about my stalker, and he's not taking this shit lightly like my past boyfriend. I filed a police report. We checked for recording devices and cameras. He put Nest cameras up all over the place, and we're on high alert. I really truly hope this is just a coincidence. But if this man really followed me across multiple state lines, there is no one on this earth I'm less interested in meeting. Number 4. Once, when I was 6 or 7, I was trick or treating with my cousin who was 12. It was getting late, and we decided to just hit one last treat and then call it quits. The first house was done, and there were only 4 that were still up and handing out candy. We split up to cover more houses faster. I went up the road, got my candy from the 2 houses I was assigned by my cousin, and go to the back to meet her. I go to where our rendezvous point was, and she's not there. So, I decided to go to the 2 houses she went to. I go to the first one and knock, and a handsome 25 to 30-year-old man answers and asks me if I want to come in to get my candy. And I'm about to agree when my cousin wails like a bat out of hell and comes out of a room that was just around the corner of the front door. She shoves the guy into the wall, grabs me, and bolts out of the house. I'm screaming because I dropped my candy bag and she's crying a little. Our house wasn't far from that point, and when we get home, she's in hysterics, blubbering to my mom and her sister about what happened. I didn't get it then, but a couple of years later, my mom explained that my cousin had refused to go in to get candy, and he hit her in the head and dragged her into the house half unconscious. When I got to the door, she heard my voice and came to enough to get up and get the fuck out of there. Apparently, my mom called the police, and upon searching the man's house, they found emails on his computer that were linked to a human trafficking ring. It chills my bones to this day to think about what would have happened if I had just waited for her to come instead of going to that man's house. This cousin is actually in therapy because of PTSD from that incident now, and that was the last time she ever went trick or treating. Number 5. This was back in 2015, where I was 16 years old, a male, by the way. This was in summer, where both my parents went to visit some of our relatives out of town. They would not be home for 3 days. I was the only child, and I was the only one left in the house. My grandma did visit me every single day to make me lunch. They did not ask that since I did know how to cook, but who can stop her, right? But of course, she didn't stay during the night. That's when I went wild, watching movies, gaming, watching YouTube, everything you could picture a 16-year-old doing when his parents aren't home. So the second night, I was watching a movie and I ran out of chips. I paused the movie and went in the kitchen to grab some more. Then I hear a window break and door opening. The kitchen was separate from the living room where the door was open. I grab a knife and slowly peek my head around. There he was, a tall man around 2 meters, had a baseball cap, some old jacket, probably leather, that was torn on the right sleeve. My phone was in the room upstairs. From the kitchen door, the stairs were directly to its right, so in my dumbest mind, I was thinking I could sneak past him and lock myself in. He was going through the shelf next to the door, very loudly, I must say, and so I got to the stairs somehow, and he turned around and realized I was there. Out of fear, I guess, I screamed and threw the knife at him. I missed him, but hit the wall beside his head, sticking the knife in there. I guess he got scared by me and my savage screaming and the throw. So he ran out before I could grab another knife. And yes, I ran back to get another. Adrenaline is one hell of a drug. When I saw he left, I ran to my room and called the cops. They came quickly and just took fingerprints and any DNA samples they could find. Next morning, I called my parents and they came back around the noon. I don't know why, but I kept the knife lodged into the wall next to the door. So their first question asked was, "Why is there a knife in the wall?" We changed the front door with a more heavy-duty one. They arrested the guy within the same week. One of the cops told me that the guy was thinking I was going to kill him and tried to call the police on attempted murder. So I guess the moral of the story is, hide when someone is robbing in your house, or learn how to act like a maniac. Number 6. First, we will need context. My old house was pretty pumped up on security. We had finger ID, passcodes on doors, cameras everywhere, an automatic security system that could call the police, or a play fake, the cops have been called blah blah blah. This story happened a few years back. My dad noticed a weird-looking man, pretty covered up, lurking on the street just outside our house. We thought nothing of it, since sometimes you get the occasional drunk or high person wandering around. But this man started to inch closer to our house, first being on the opposite side of our street, and then before we knew it, basically being on our property. We just sort of watched him to see what he would do, and I'm pretty sure we got bored and walked away and just forgot. Then, we started to hear strange noises coming from downstairs, where our front door was. So we decided to switch on the camera, and sure enough, this guy was banging on our door trying to get in. Then he looks through a window. He gives up and starts to go around the side. There was a set of stairs that led to the upper area where we were. He starts to head up the stairs, which sent my dad to go to the side of the house where he was with a knife and scream at him. This guy runs and we don't see him again. That's the end, right? Wrong. This guy comes back again, and I guess he saw that the car was gone from the driveway. My dad had gone to get something, leaving me and my mom. And he looks around. We did not want to confront this guy, so I had the idea of playing the fake cop alert that could be heard outside. So we played it, and as soon as this guy heard it, he ran. I never saw him again, and never want to. What makes this story creepier is on the news later, it showed a guy who lurked around houses and killed people had been arrested. It was the same man who was at our house. Hi everybody, it's your creepy older sister here. Thank you so much for listening. You have no idea how I appreciate this. Since the channel is fairly new though, I would like to hear some comments or suggestions from you so that I can continuously improve my coming videos. If you want to know what the name of the channel means, you can check out the description below. If you want to send me stories to read, you can also check out my email and send it there. It's also in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can grow together here, and I'll definitely try my best to upload more each week. Once again, thank you very, very much. And to all the creepy experiences, bad vibes, scary people, and paranormal encounters, together we say to them, Tabi-tabi po.